So if we could start this meeting by either closing your eyes or turning your gaze inward and welcome your experience as it is, as it appears to you. Without interfering, without trying to correct it or improve it. So that every moment that appears to you is a fresh moment. A new discovery, in a way. A presence, awareness appearing, taking on the form of this appearance, this perception. Without any separation, without any personal doing or doer. In your experience, everything appears freely, meaning there is no personal will, like the weather appears, like waves appear on the surface of the ocean. The body, the mind, the universe being one system. Which in part appears to us as this appearance. One thing we can be certain of is that which perceives the reality that hears these words. The undeniable aspect of our experience. Is not that which appears, but the space in which our experience appears. An aware space which we recognize as I. This silent, still, aware presence. That right now takes on the form of hearing, or breathing, without being augmented or diminished by whatever it perceives. This aware space is not an image, is not a feeling, is not an idea. Is not made out of things such as flesh and bone. It's made out of itself. This aware, effortless awareness, presence. You know yourself as that aware presence, this moment. You are that infinite, invisible, undeniable beingness. And whenever you overlook your reality as this aware presence, and you imagine yourself to be somebody in time and space, a man, a woman, or whatever. You experience the unbearable sense of lack and incompleteness. and your desire to be the innate freedom, the innate happiness, the innate joy of being. Your desire to awaken to your true self. You experience it as suffering. And as soon as you move away from your true nature as this transparent, aware presence and assume the belief that you are a man, a woman, or somebody, there is a download within your mind of infinite forms, infinite realities. And you find yourself to be alone in a world of objects, living a personal story, subject to different external forces, family, culture. You look and search for peace and happiness in the world, but it's nowhere to be found. And since you have not heard the word of God that's whispering in your ears, here I am. I am thou. The reality of consciousness, I am. You drown your sorrows in various addictions. The biggest addiction is the me addiction. That I am this person. That can overcome all odds, or any person is subject to so much abuse. Or I am a person who's battling my way in the world. The addiction to the belief that I am this person. The primary addiction. is the addiction to the sense of me. I love myself as me. It seems so attractive and so sweet to love yourself. It's so seductive. But what you are, in fact, loving is the bubble of isolation and the separation. Personal story that is your own fabrication. You hold on to that tightly, imagining that it's giving you comfort and not seeing the corruption of such a comfort. Because this me belief and the sense of me just numbs your mind and body, but does not provide you with the freedom, the joy, the peace of happiness to know yourself as this transparent aware presence. You engage in all sorts of avoidances. Avoiding presence because you don't like how it appears to you. You don't like how it appears to the me, the sense of me. You place conditions upon presence, upon awareness, how you want it to be. And you live a life of conditions, resistance and seeking. And yet, whenever you are still, everything that appears to you comes to rest in and as that stillness, an aware, awake stillness. We are addicted to our stories. About ourselves, about others. addicted to sensations. Addicted to the shape of clouds. We don't want to let go of my sense of me, images, feelings, experiences. We overlook that the wide open sky is not holding on to any clouds. We overlook that the rays of the sun shine effortlessly in all directions without any personal intention. We overlook that there is nothing lacking as this aware presence has no gates, no doors, no barriers, no conditions. That the love and beauty and peace that we seek is that which we truly are. Okay, so if there are any questions, please make sure you unmute your mic, and you're welcome to turn on your video if you care to. So any questions? Hello, Holger.
Hello, Magdi. I don't really know what to say, but I read someone said, fully present in my absence. Something like this.
Yes.
And it's just so beautiful to hear the pointer that I am is consciousness. And what a freedom this is to, be myself, but without anyone here.
Yes.
I mean, it's just a paradox in a way, and the words are kind of foolish. And but there's just the feeling of gratitude again, and nothing I can hold on to, but just a trust that life is just okay in each moment.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Yes. That's. No, in terms of the presence and absence. So obviously in our experience, I am, meaning there is awareness and knowing myself to be this knowing myself. This knowingness adjust the volume. This knowingness that I am this aware presence within that understanding, that I am not that which appears. So I am not the body, the mind. I'm not a separate person. I'm not Magdi or Holger. I'm not the body mind. So the emptiness is that the awareness is non-objective. One could say that the body mind is objective. The body mind is made out of elements or phenomena. It's a phenomenal realm. Awareness is non-phenomenal. And everything that appears within awareness is made out of awareness. So there isn't within awareness other things, other realities, such as the reality of the table, or the reality of the sky, or the reality of the oak tree, or the reality of a thought. There are oak trees and thoughts and rivers, but there are appearances within the reality of consciousness, like the waves are appearances within the reality of the ocean. They're not separate. There isn't a separate reality. There are no objective realities. So that refers to the emptiness of awareness. Awareness is actually, it's empty. There is an absence. It's the absence of the separate realities, a phenomenal or a materialist reality, or a reality of mind. the fullness of awareness is that awareness is full of knowingness. It knows itself. And in knowing yourself as awareness, the experience of knowing yourself as awareness is an experience of both fullness, wholeness, completeness, and at the same time, nothingness. So it's the absence and the presence are one within awareness, within knowing yourself as awareness. From the mind level, it may seem to be contradictory, but the mind level is not knowing. Knowingness belongs to awareness. It doesn't belong to the mind. So the mind level is just a reflection. Like when you look at the river and the sun shining onto the river, the reflection is that there are many, many suns. You know, every little wave in the water is reflecting a sunshine. So from the river's perspective, there are 50, 60, 100 sunshines, 100 suns. But that's just the illusion or the impression. That's just a reflection of the one light, of the one sun. So although from the mind perspective, there may seem to be a contradiction between the emptiness and the fullness, from the realization of our true nature, we experience the fullness, the wholeness of peace, of freedom, of joy, of happiness, the noumenal qualities, and at the same time, the complete absence of any sense of separation. And as you said, it's very sweet to be the life that's just flowing, the flow that has no issues within it. No problems. And from the perspective of the I am, there are no problems. But from the perspective of I am Magdi or I am somebody, there are problems. From the perspective of a body-mind that is functioning, there is just functioning. There is a functioning. Whatever the functioning is. When the body is hungry, we feed it. When there is some issue with the knee, we try to exercise the knee or the leg. It's just functionings. But from the perspective of I am the body, there are problems. There's a difference between functions, and issues, problems. Consciousness is like the functioning of the body, because they are not two. The body functions without problems. It just functions. There may be whatever unfolds in the moment. That's the flow. It's like in your night dream, it's just events. But the problem in your night dream is when you are completely in ignorance, meaning you believe that you are the character in the dream. And then you have all sorts of personal issues with various aspects of your dream. But when you are knowingly dreaming the dream, knowing yourself to be the dreamer of the dream, then there is no issue with the dream. There are just various functions. You may dream to be traveling, or you may dream that you are having dinner with friends, or you may dream whatever, you may dream satsang. But there are no issues, because you understand and you know yourself to be the totality, and yet to be none of it.
And then this feeling of allowing myself to be a fool from the old model, in a way.
Well, body minds are limited, and our capacity to comprehend based on the situations available to us is dependent on the circumstance, dependent on how the body mind is feeling and what data is available to us, and how pressing the situation is. Some situations are quite pressing, so one could say after the fact, oh gee, that was a foolish decision, but at the time it seemed to be the appropriate decision, and it's foolish to say that was a foolish decision.
Yes. Thank you. I enjoy so much the word hallelujah right now.
Hallelujah, yes.
Hallelujah, yes. Thank you, Magdi.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, all good. Any questions?
Hi, Maggie.
Hey, Frank.
Hey.
Frank.
I wanted to ask you a question about the doer. I have a hard time with that concept of there not being a doer.
Did I say there was no doer?
I don't know. You talk about the doer sometimes, so I've heard you bring that up, but I don't know if you said there's no doer or did you?
No. What I say, or what I said, I don't know what I said, but what I say is that there is no personal doer. Obviously, there is a doer. It's I. I am speaking right now. I am hearing these words right now. There is a doer, there is a perceiver, there is a reality. It's just that this I that does, that perceives, is not the body, is not Frank or Magdi, or limited, is not a limited consciousness. Obviously, I drive the car via the body mind, via the brain and the body mind. It's not the brain or the body mind that drives. It's not the arms that drive, or the belly, or the legs, or the brain that drives the car. I drive the car via the body mind, right? I mean, the metaphor of the binocular, I'm the bird watcher, I perceive the birds via the binocular. The binoculars don't perceive. So when I say there is no doer, specifically I say there is no separate doer, to specify that there is no separate self. In fact, when you look at the me, what you imagine yourself to be, whichever way you imagine yourself to be, you realize that you are not that which you imagine yourself to be. Even if you imagine yourself to be a very powerful character, you will realize that you're not what you imagine yourself to be, because what you imagine yourself to be is a product of your imagination. or a product of your feeling. So it's made out of thoughts, images, sensations, ideas, wishful thinking, whatever. And all these things are just mentations. And you perceive the mentations, but you're not that. You are not that what you imagine yourself to be, or what you perceive yourself to be. You know, when you look in the mirror and you see an image in the mirror, you perceive the image of the body. And then you say, oh, that's me. No, of course it's not you. That's the body, that's image that you perceive. It's an image that you perceive. You perceive the image, but when you say, I am this image, then you're overlooking that, in fact, no, you're not this image, you are that which perceives the image, you say. So same thing in doing. When there is a doer, you imagine, if you imagine that the body is doing, that's an error in your understanding, because that which is doing is I am doing. And yes, there is an instrument, there is a mirror that is reflecting an image. There is a medium, there is an instrument, but I am not the instrument. It's not the instrument that is doing. So when a robot is in the factory, it's assembling doorknobs for, it's doing something, it's not the robot that's doing that. It's via the robot, or via the robot, and via the software, via the control system. We are using the robot. We are the doer. So the we that is the doer is I consciousness. So yeah, absolutely, there is a doer. If you hear the teaching that's saying there is no doer, nothing is being done and all of that, that's not the full understanding. Because yes, it is an understanding that there is no separate doer. But the full understanding is, yes, there is a doer, but it's not a separate doer. There is a reality, but the reality is not a separate reality. It's a reality of consciousness. And this reality is not personal.
So the impulses that each one of us has to do things, so that's not coming from a personal doer, but it's coming from somewhere. It's coming from the I, from the one I.
Well, if you, like, for example, let's say that you find yourself driving to the store to buy tomatoes, okay? How did this happen? Let's say you were at home and a certain sensation arose to you, a sensation of hunger, right? You did not make this, you did not do this sensation. It appeared to you. And then a minute later, a thought about salad or about mashed potatoes, an image appeared to you. Wow, oh yeah, mashed potatoes. Oh, it's great to eat mashed potatoes. It's a thought that appeared to you. But you did not make this thought. You perceive it, absolutely. You perceive it. And then the next is an image of tomatoes, of like ripe, tomatoes appear to you, and you didn't make this image, this thought. And then there's another thought that appears to you. Yes, tomatoes. No, not mashed. No mashed potatoes. Tomatoes. And so then the next thought that appears to you is, let's go. I'm going to go to the store. So you find yourself driving to the store to buy some tomatoes as a result of impersonal thoughts that appear to you. And it's the way for all of us, our thoughts, impersonal thoughts appear to us. And at some point, some thought becomes a deciding thought. Yes, the tomatoes. It's a thought that appeared to you saying, yes, tomatoes. I'm going to go buy tomatoes. So a deciding thought decides the action. And then the body being not separate from the thought, the body then is used as a vehicle to materialize, let's say, the thought, the image. So then you are buying tomatoes, etc. The main thing to understand is that these thoughts, they're not personal thoughts. They're local. What I mean by they're local is that maybe the image that appeared in Frank's mind is tomatoes, and the image that appeared in Magdi's mind is watermelon. So it's local. There is a local, like in the ocean. Not all the waves appear in one place. They appear wherever they appear. They appear, and next day maybe in Magdi's mind, tomatoes is appearing, in Frank's mind is watermelon. We don't, it's the thing to understand is that there are no personal thoughts. All thoughts and the behavior, or what we do, which are a result of the thoughts, connected to thoughts, are universal cosmic thoughts. And when you look at in your experience right now, in any moment, what is it that is really in your experience? You will find that what is really in your experience is not the image or the thought or the feeling or the sensation. It's awareness. That's what's real, because you always find it, always find it. You won't find less awareness, more awareness, bigger awareness, female awareness, male awareness, tall awareness, hot awareness, cold awareness. No, you always find awareness. So when you look at your experience, you will find that in your experience, the reality of your experience is awareness. So because now you're clear that the reality is awareness, and that there is one reality, then the reality, if anything is appearing to you, thoughts, perceptions, the world, the body, whatever is appearing to you, it's reality. The reality of everything that appears to you has to be that one reality, the reality of consciousness. The reality of I is the reality of consciousness. So sometimes we say all thoughts, perceptions, sensations, whatever appears to us, images and so on, arise from the one source, from the one reality, from meaning the reality of consciousness. And because our perception is real, there is a reality to our perception. I perceive, there's no doubt that I'm perceiving right now this perception. Even if it's a dream perception, I'm perceiving this perception. So that which perceives must be also real. And given that we have come to clarity that reality is consciousness, therefore that the reality of that which perceives, and the reality of that which is perceived is that one reality, that same reality, the reality of consciousness. So in the contemplation, we say to come to clarity, to know yourself, to know your true self, rather than imagining what you are, to really know, come to clarity that, yes, I know myself. I know that I am. I know that there is a body that mom and dad called Frank, no problem. I know that Frank is a male body, no problem. But I know that I am awareness, that I am this aware presence. and that the body-mind instrument is there. Its reality is consciousness.
My confusion with this topic is, I guess I'm looking at the old model that I used to follow, and I still, I guess, follow it quite a bit. Is that, I've always seen my thinking or my acting as coming from either two places of my own, the little me, and then God. I would ask God to help me, guide me in my actions. Then I'd say, well, that's me acting, and I go, oh, looks like this is God kind of helping me do this, and it was almost like, so I'm trying to tie this in with what I'm learning in non-dualism, which is it's all consciousness. But like yesterday, on the meeting yesterday, yesterday, I think Umar brought this up about awareness being very almost like passive, just not really caring about what the body mind does. And I sort of sometimes run into that where I think that awareness is just there watching and not caring, not getting involved, not doing anything, and the body mind's running around doing all this crazy stuff. And so I'm trying to put this all together, trying to understand it, not intellectually, but somehow have this stuff come in and just kind of expand.
If you say that awareness is sort of just witness, it's true in a way, but it's not the complete story. Obviously, you were talking a minute ago. Obviously, you move your head right now. Obviously, you're hearing these words, and that's an activity. Obviously, there is blood flowing through your body. Obviously, there are thoughts appearing to you. These are activities. So to say that awareness is just passive is incomplete. Now, if you separate awareness, consciousness from the body, you can say, well, awareness is passive and the body is active. Then you're creating two separate realities. You're saying, okay, well, there is a reality of consciousness and it's passive, and there is a reality of the body, which is active. So then you're into believing the dual realities. You have to come to clarity that there is one reality. There's one reality. And we know from our experience that in our experience, the reality is consciousness. Because that does not come and go, does not change across time and space. We refer to it as reality. That which changes and so on, we refer to it as movement, mind, as flow. So there is the reality of the wave, which is H2O. And there is the wave, which is the movement of H2O. So yes, there is H2O as being the passive, and there is the wave, which is the movement of H2O, which is the active. And they're not two. So it's not sufficient to say that, yes, consciousness is passive. It's true. It's correct to say that consciousness is witness, does nothing. It's effortless. You don't do any effort to hear these words right now. You're not doing any effort for your heart to beat. You're not doing any effort for breathing, for being, for sensing the temperature. No effort. Yes, there is a passive aspect, but at the same time, there is breathing, there is hearing, there is scratching your face, there is going to the market to buy tomatoes, there is activity. So consciousness at rest is, you could say, peace, but consciousness in activity, in the activity is celebration, is life, is joy, is creative. So you need to come to understanding that both aspects are that one reality.
Yeah, that's good, because I think I have been I've been thinking of it in a very dualistic way. Always seeing consciousness here and then body mind here, somehow not knowing how they interact, but it's really all consciousness is what you're saying. It's all awareness, different levels. Call it levels, possibly. I think you used that term the other day. That's good. It's good.
Yeah, I mean, you look at your night dream too, Frank, because in your night dream, you're there. You're in a way you're witnessing the dream. Mm-hmm. At the same time, there are all sorts of things happening in the dream. There is an activity. You see, they're not separate. It's not. You cannot say, well, no, the dream is active, but it has nothing to do with me, the dreamer. They're one.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah. And so we are that we come to that understanding. And yeah, ignorance is a different thing, but anyways, that was not your question. So yes. So that's,
all right, that's good for now. Thanks, Maggie.
all right,
Appreciate it.
all right, friend, cool. Okay. Isaac, hello, Isaac. You write, avoidance, distractions, and obsessions are manifestation of what is. Another experience. One just observes them and let them be. So, Isaac, so in terms of the obsessions, in terms of the addictions, the avoidance, and the distractions, one could, yes, as you just say, observe them and let them be. Not to engage in trying to fix them or judge, especially not to do the judging, you know. So yes, you could just let them be. But also, it is important to understand the process of avoidance, the process of distraction. Usually when we are avoiding or we're being distracted, getting into distraction, distracting our mind, or when we are addictive behaviors, we are trying to protect something. We're not just doing it just to do it. We're not just avoiding just to practice avoidance. We're trying to protect something. We're trying to defend something, trying to hide something. What is it that we are trying to protect? If you take a look at that, you will find that you're trying to protect something that is very important for you. Otherwise, why would you do it? If it's not important for you, you wouldn't care. So it's obviously very important for you. So you take a look at what is it that I'm trying to protect. And you will find that you're trying to protect yourself in general. You're trying to protect your feelings. You're trying to protect your images about yourself. You're trying to protect your reputation. You're trying to protect
vulnerability.
What? I'm sorry.
Your vulnerability too.
Yes, your vulnerability. You're trying to protect. You want to show a certain image, a certain aspect of yourself. You're trying to protect an image of yourself. So, because when we do avoidance or distraction or obsession or addiction, because it's not happy, then it makes sense to ask yourself, am I doing the right thing? Now, when I'm trying to protect, for example, my family from a wild dog that's attacking, or trying to protect myself from a wild dog that's attacking, it's not happy, but it is very important for me to do that, because if I don't protect myself, I don't engage in the effort to protect, then the dog may bite me and hurt. So it makes sense for me to engage in the battle. But if I'm trying to protect my image or my vulnerability, or trying to protect my reputation, or that, then I ask myself, is that logical? Does that make sense? Now, yes, it is logical for you to defend your image if you are identified with your image, because it's your identity. It's what you are. You are identified with the image. Mm-hmm. You're identified with your feelings. So you are going to make sense. But you will find that if you're identified with your image or with your feelings, you're going to spend your whole life engaging in avoidance, distraction, battling, and justifying, blaming, avoiding. What sort of life is that? It makes, so I say, wait a minute. If I'm going to live my whole life defending my identity because I'm identified with it, and I'm going to have a miserable life because up to now there is sufficient evidence that protecting my image is miserable. So why do I need to do another 20 years of that? Maybe I say, no, wait a minute. Is there another way? You see?
Mm-hmm.
And this is in a way what we talk about here in our meetings. We say, well, there is another way. There is another way. And the other way is to look into the how logical, how reasonable, how rational is it for you to be identified with images or with opinions about yourself or opinions that other people have about you, etc. How logical and how happy, how sweet, how beautiful, how freeing is it to be identified? You find that it's crazy. So
Mm-hmm.
what we also, contemplate is that, in fact, I am this awareness. I am the reality that perceives. Effortlessly, I hear these words. Effortlessly, the body breathes. Effortlessly, a thought appears to me. No time to go buy some food. Time to put some gasoline in the car. I find that there is an effortless aspect in my life, which is being as awareness, and the recognition that that I is the reality that perceives, and the body mind is like my car or like my pet. I take care of it. I take care of the body mind. I take care of my dog. I take care of my car. I take care of my house. I take care of my garden. I take care of my clothes. The best you can. You see, so that.
Mm-hmm.
But you are not identified, you see, with your clothes or with your house or with your car. And if you are identified with your car, with your house, it's a wrong identification, because what if somebody steals your car? Then, oh my God, it's big disaster,
Mm-hmm.
bigger than just calling the insurance company, you see.
Yeah.
So, yes, you are correct, and just observe, because there is the conditioning, there is the identification, it arises. Just observe it and let it be. But at the same time, please be clear that you are the freedom, you are the transparency, you are God's light, you are the joy of being. That the body mind is a tool, available to you. It appears to you. You take care of it the best you can, but you don't need to identify yourself. And if you do, don't judge yourself. Just return to the peace, to the freedom, to the aware presence that you are. It's okay to drive sometimes in the pothole. You're driving, you hit a pothole. Okay, fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right,
Okay.
right. Just
Yeah.
remain not knowing. Don't define yourself in any way. Don't be available to all types of, to everything. Be available equally to everything. Remain open whatever occurs and allow whatever occurs to it just flows through. It's natural. Everything flows through. Whatever experience you have flows through. So just, and when there is something that needs to be done, it will appear to you. It will appear to you, and you can also, how you feel about it will also appear to you. So you take in consideration the thoughts and the situations that appear to you and the feelings that appear to you. And all of this comes together in a decision or in no decision.
Okay. Yeah, very clear, Magdi. Thanks.
Okay, Isaac.
Thank you. Thank you.
Lovely to see you.
Yeah.
Any questions?
Hey, Maggie, a follow-up question to what I asked you earlier.
Sure.
So this is a thought that came up after you and I talked just now. So it's all consciousness, and the doer is consciousness, or
yes,
doing through us, the body-mind instrument.
Yes.
Does awareness have
not just through us, but through the entire, through infinite possibilities. But yes, through us. Yes.
Is there so my question is, does awareness have any kind of agenda? Is there any?
Well, if you take a look, at least as far as we know, because there is so much more that we don't know, from the perspective of our mind, there is a limited aspect, while from perspective of consciousness, it's infinite possibilities. From the very, very tiny sliver of our limited experience, we could see that, it seems that, I wouldn't use the word agenda, but I would say that consciousness loves creation, because every moment is a moment of creation. I don't even know what the next word I'm going to say. So obviously, it's because consciousness is not going to do what it doesn't like. If it doesn't like to do something, it won't do it. So it's creative. It's also contemplative. Contemplative meaning it likes to contemplate itself. It contemplates itself. It contemplates consciousness, or the reality of consciousness. It also likes to contemplate its creation. Like, for example, in science, we are studying, we're studying the world, we're studying, different galaxies, we're studying the atoms, the molecules. So obviously, consciousness loves to create and even study its creation, engage into the study and contemplation of its creation. It also loves sweetness. Like our conversation right now, we're friendly. It doesn't like, the battling, oh, mine, yours. No, he could say it doesn't. It likes sweetness. It likes to celebrate life. Hey, let's get together, have a drink. Let's go for a walk together. Let's, go play tennis together. It likes to celebrate. And of course, also, life likes to play. Consciousness, life likes to play a suspense game. Because consciousness is all-knowing. In fact, it knows what I'm going to say 5 minutes from now, because it is the absolute knowingness. But it seems that in our very narrow human mind perspective. It likes the suspense. And in a way, if you look at the movies, when we go to the movies, you know, if you've seen the movie before and you know the story of the movie before, it's not as much fun as when you saw the movie the first time. Because when you see the movie the first time, you don't know, is she going to, you know, kiss this guy and love this guy, or is she going to go with that guy, you see? But if you know ahead, if you've seen the movie already, so I wouldn't say an agenda, because agenda seems to be more sort of like we must accomplish this agenda or else, you know, it has, no, it's more playful. But yes, it is creative, it is celebratory, it is contemplative, it's likes mystery.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Thanks, Magdi. I'll ask you more about this at some other time around in a few minutes, but I'll be listening. I won't be on video, but yeah.
No problem. Okay.
A lot more questions coming.
All right, Frank. Okay. Okay. Well, any other questions here? Okay, well, if there are no questions, then I thank you all. Very lovely to be with you, Esther and Isaac, Frank, and Marga, and Richard Bennett. Nice to meet you, Richard. Holly, hello, Holly. And Holger, hello, Holger. Richard Stube, hello, Richard. Hey, Kelly.
Hi.
And John and Brian. Thank you all.
Thank you, Magdi.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Meg.
Thank you.
Thank you, Magdi, and everybody.